Motion picture.
You got to nail the...
Oh, that is... I would not want to be that actor. I'm trying to think of who can do it, because there are actors who could kind of shapeshift like that.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
He's probably one of them. I can see that. But, well, after Lincoln...
Yeah, who would think that Daniel Day-Lewis could play Lincoln? I remember when I heard that Spielberg had cast him for that role. How the hell do you pull that off? Then I go to the theater. The man's Abe Lincoln.
Well, yeah, but how would Bryan Cranston pull off Walter White? Now, I know it's not, and I know Walter White wasn't the 16th president of the United States, but if you're looking at character traits, I mean, Cranston was more of a comedian, if anything. He
is, and if you watch Cranston in other roles in motion pictures, and I'm sure he's going to get so many more offers.
Oh, he deserves them. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he is great. He's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy. I mean, if you listen to the cast talk, he was just as funny on the show. So that's my number 4, Ty. Who's yours? My number 4 is Newhart. Ooh, and the reason why I say Newhart, I'm not a huge fan of the series Newhart. I watched the Bob Newhart show growing up as a child, and Newhart was on when I was in college, so I didn't watch a lot of it. But I did watch the finale. And to me, it was the ultimate finale. You may recall this. He goes to bed. Remember? He wakes up. The episode like it was yesterday. This is so friggin' clever. He wakes up, and he's back in the old Bob Newhart show from the 70s. Yep. And it's actually number 3 on my list. No kidding. So for all the same reasons, it was absolutely brilliantly done, and totally no one expected it. I can remember being a little kid and going, what the hell's going on? Because my mom and my stepfather and my brother, my older brother, was, just so fascinated by this. But I obviously was too young to really know the Bob Newhart show. I knew what it was, but I never had watched it. Right. So, finding out years later, having seen that finale live on television and not really understanding it, but then as I've gotten older and seeing it again, it was just brilliant. His dry humor was just so good. Funny. And I told you we had the drinking game in college. Yeah. Hi, Bob. Yeah, it's great stuff. And the scene, Suzanne Plachette, his wife from the first series, he wakes up with her, and then Bob goes on to describe what kind of dream he had, and she's like, yeah, whatever, honey, go back to sleep. And then they play the old theme song. Yep, it was great. It was great. I got to YouTube it because I want to see it again. It was great. Just great television. It goes to show when you have great writers just how magical TV can be. Writing and directing is so crucial in television. I've learned that through The Sopranos, through Breaking Bad, through some of these television shows that I have actually watched. The Sopranos, I tuned into every single show. Yeah. And it was, the funny thing about Sopranos, I watched like the first season, and then I picked it up in later seasons. Because the one thing about working in TV, Nick, and I'll say this again, you work so many nights, you miss so much television. It's not like today where you have the DVR. So I missed so much TV. So I didn't have access to rewatch old episodes. So we have our guest, Nick. Larry is on the line. You want to introduce him? Well, yeah. I mean, Lorenzo is chef, actor, dancer, singer, comedian. Lorenzo, I call him Lorenzo. Out in Miami and L.A. he's called Lo. Here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, we call him Lorenzo, and he is a Breaking Bad fanatic. And I may have met my match here, Ty, because he knows his shit. And he will tell you Lost maybe a better finale. Lorenzo, what's going on?
That was a hell of an introduction. Thank you.
Hey, man, you speak for yourself because you've been everywhere, and I'm thrilled to have you on the show now. Before we talk about Breaking Bad, which obviously could go on and on and on, I know you're watching Miami. I don't want to.
I am.
No, I'm a Dolphins fan.
You're a Dolphins fan.
Ty is actually a Dolphins fan. We had this conversation. I got to be honest with you. We look pretty good, but Tannehill, man, he's got to learn how to slide. We gave up the ball twice.
Oh, yeah, he's got to learn to protect the football. Anyway, that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, sure. Now, Lorenzo, we know you've acted. You've done quite a bit of acting. You have a great CD that you've produced and has been out for a while. But you've also you're so talented. You've also traveled overseas to cook. Tell us about that quick. And not cook meth. You were cooking food.
I was, yeah. I actually I made a decision to fly out to Florence to go to a school called Apicius. It's a great culinary school right in the heart of Florence, right in the city. And I was out there for a year and finished my certificate completion, and it was a heck of an experience. It was amazing. But they live a completely different lifestyle than we do, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it a little bit.
I can imagine. Much more laid back, right?
Completely, yeah. They still believe in the siesta, which is their little hour break from the day where they go have a little espresso or they have a glass of wine and they talk about life, and then they go back to work.
Yeah. I don't know that I could go back to work after the siesta, though. I might just want to stay on the couch. And you know me, Lorenzo, you know me, I can't have one glass of wine, so the siesta would last until the next morning when work started again.
You and me both.
So we're here, we're talking about top shows, finales of all time. And we're going to talk Breaking Bad, but we're on number 3. So, and I know you have your top 2. I don't know what your number 3 would be. So why don't we round out the list, the top 5 game here, Ty, with Lorenzo, and we'll let him give his number 3 of all time.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, the character Bubs, you can't beat The Wire, and to me, it is extremely close between Breaking Bad, The Wire, and Lost. Very close. But you know how I feel. And Lost, to me, I don't think there was a piece of cinematic anything that touched what they were able to do, especially in the first 4 seasons. Now, there's complaints about it going too long and, what have you. But the show was absolutely ridiculous. It encompassed every single genre that you could ever imagine. It had the best score by Michael Giacchino, in my opinion, even over any film. And then, we talk about The Wire and Breaking Bad. They're very similar shows. Gritty, dirty, character-driven, personal, emotional. They were so good. But I have to admit, if we're talking only about a final episode, I would have to agree with you in saying that Breaking Bad's final episode was probably better than Lost, only because it was so difficult to end Lost. There were so many things that that the fans, that the Losties wanted to see, but it was so impossible to figure that out. But for Breaking Bad, I think Gilligan hit it right on the head, and it was just
wow.
It was gut-wrenching.
Did he ever? And he where I have Sopranos as number 3, and most people don't like that ending to that series, but I loved the ending. I loved how it was open-ended. But Gilligan had a way of he completed the series, but he still he kind of still left a little bit there because you don't know what happens with Jesse Pinkman. So there's an opportunity there. Nothing's ever going to happen with the show. It's over. But it's still kind of open-ended where, what did he do? What was the dream sequence? And there's spoiler alerts here, but what was the dream sequence with the box where he was doing the carpenter work? So you don't know, but he just did it perfectly. And I saw on Facebook you had posted about viewers, and Lost obviously was 3 million viewers over. Is that what it was?
Well, it was. I believe it was 10.5 million tuned in to watch Breaking Bad, 13.5 tuned in to watch Lost. But what's mind blowing to me is that I believe, and don't quote me, but I think I'm pretty close here. I think it was 106 million. And I think I'm pretty close here. 106 million people.
You're right. You are right.
The conclusion of MASH. Correct.
That is correct.
Guys, I've got the figures in front of me. It's 105.9 million. That's crazy. And Cheers had 80 million.
Yeah. And actually, I believe Seinfeld had 73 and Friends had 52. It was something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show you, no matter how critically acclaimed Breaking Bad was, Lost was, The Wire, all these amazing shows, it's crazy to me to think that those two comedies, destroyed them in viewership. And MASH, I mean, obviously was just that was one of the best shows of all time. So yeah,
guys, you'll never guess what show's at number 5 all time in viewership for a finale. You'll never guess it unless you look it up.
Magnum PI.
Yep, you're right. Nice.
I looked it up.
Magnum PI.
Yeah,
Higgins.
But guys, there's something to be said here that we're looking at these shows, and if you look at the top 5, the only one that goes later than 1998 into the 2000s is Friends. So
right.
I think a lot goes to be said, even in the Lost Breaking Bad comparison, but more so in these. You know, the viewership was so narrowed then. There wasn't internet television. There wasn't 700 channels to watch. You know, back then, you look at 1983, 106 million people tuned in to watch MASH because they only had 8 other channels to watch. You
exactly.
know, I mean, you know, so it's just the viewership is just so is so narrowed back then. Where now, and I even say that with the Breaking Bad Lost comparison because I believe there are so many people who have not caught up yet.
Oh yeah,
and didn't watch last night.
Joe, there's
Ty hasn't watched it yet.
He hasn't seen Lost yet?
He hasn't seen Breaking Bad yet.
Believe it or not, I haven't seen the series Lost or the series Breaking Bad.
Oh, my God. Do yourself a favor and don't move from your house for 3 weeks.
No, actually, do yourself a favor and don't do that because that's what I did, and it's just way too stressful. And now I'm lost.
Lost.
I don't know what, like, I just said, you know, please email me and let me know what to watch next because I just don't know, and I'm thinking maybe Lost is the way to go.
I'll tell you what, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. Now, I'll tell you something, this may sound kind of crazy, but not only did I watch every episode and wait patiently like a crazy man for every episode of Lost.
Do that with Bad, yeah.
But embarrassingly, I watched the show completely from start to finish 3 separate times on Netflix. That's how much I thought I missed on every episode, and I wanted to soak it all in. It's that good.
Wow. On Lost you're talking.
Yes, on Lost, yeah.
Because I'm already restarting Breaking Bad. And I've already noticed so many things that I didn't notice the first time around that just make so much more sense. So let's dive into Breaking Bad a little bit. What is it what is it, Larry, about this show that has captivated so many people? We know the Netflix has played a huge part into this. Yeah. But obviously Netflix or no Netflix, if you don't embrace the characters and the way the characters are portrayed and acted out, you know, yeah, I mean, how do you latch on? So, explain it in your eyes.
Well, in my opinion, what captivated me, first of all, it's arguably the greatest opening show, first episode.
Yeah.
And final episode, because if you're not captivated by episode 1, there is something wrong with you. I mean, listen to how crazy this backstory on this show is. Okay, a guy, a science teacher, a high school science teacher, lives a normal life, does okay for himself, is a very nice wife, too normal, right? A great wife, who's great to him, and a son who loves him to death, but he's not happy, and then he gets diagnosed with cancer, and he wants to make a change. He wants to do something for his family. It just so happens him and Jesse come together, and you know how it unfolds from there. But it's such a crazy scenario how they can write. It's so brilliant. I don't really even know what to say. I mean, I think it all has to do with the writing. It really is the writing.
The writing and the directing. And I'll be honest, the editing, I mean, the film editing is fantastic.
Yeah, the editing is amazing. Yeah, I agree.
I think that also there's something very compelling about the love-hate, but I think ultimately love relationship with Pinkman and Walter White. There's definitely that father-son, and then also, Walter's just so sociopath. He's just so crazy, and he's just tortured Jesse Pinkman.
Sure.
But